In Writers of the Future Volume 42, winning illustrators completed art for each story. In this video, I'm going to review the artwork that accompanied each story and tell you what my favorites were. If you've seen my review of the stories in Writers of the Future Volume 42, then you know about that contest. There's also an Illustrators of the Future contest that runs alongside the writing contest. Each winning story from the writer contest gets an illustration done by one of the winners of the Illustrators contest. They work with art director Echo Chernick to develop a work suitable to each story that they're assigned. I'm going to show the art, tell you who the artist is, and let you know my thoughts and how well it represents the stories. My apologies to the artists if I butcher your names. First up is art for the story Form 14B, Application for Certification of Consciousness Transfer Postmortem. The art was done by Vancouver-based artist Art Ikuda. There's more cool stuff from him on his website and Instagram page. You can see from this piece that we've got some sort of canister at the top of the image. The lower part has a man with a camera in front of him in some sort of dark area, and all around that is paperwork. This image fits really well with the story. The canister and the man are both representations of the main character in different parts of the story. The paperwork laying around it is a solid picture of the paperwork nightmare that comes with requests that a government has to approve. It's a nightmare that the story explores. I like this image a lot. The man is in the shadow of the canister, which leads the viewer's eyes to the canister itself. The minimal color palette reflects the stark nature of the bureaucracy, and the red indicates a dangerous point for the character. The next image is for Saffron and Marigolds and is by Slovakian artist Bohuslav Argalas, aka Bafu. You can see other work at the link here that I put on the screen. The art shows the main character Arthur in a cave while visiting his dragon friend Wantley. Arthur's hug of Wantley's snout while Wantley's eyes seem to be adoring Arthur does a great job of capturing the friendship between the two of them. I think the pans strung across the top third of the image represent the cakes that Arthur keeps bringing to the dragon Wantley, because Arthur is a baker after all. The image description says that they're supposed to be chains, but they look like pans to me. The sledgehammer in the foreground is important later in the story when Arthur tries to help poor Wantley out. I like how the red and yellow colors show the warmth centered on the two characters. As you move out from the dragon's chest, the colors start getting darker to show the environment being dark and much less friendly to the two characters. I also think the art style goes well with the way the story is told. Utah artist Trey Streeter did the artwork for the next story, which is called Bloom Decay. If you like this piece, you should see more of his art at the links here. The woman in the red jacket is Wenqian Zhang, and the other woman is her mother, Wenli Zhang. At bottom center, we have a coffee cup shattering, and you can also see the birds in every part of the image. This is an amalgam of different things that happened in the story Bloom Decay. There's a scene where the cup gets broken and where Wenli needs help. Birds are in various scenes throughout the story, and they become an important part of it near the end. I'm not sure if the cloud behind Wenqian represents the internet or if it means something else. It is sort of shaped like a brain, so once you've read the story, you might see how it could be representing both. I like the image as a whole, though I'm a little confused about the light sources on the women's faces. Wenqian in the red jacket seems to have a full light on her face, while Wenli seems to have a shadow from her cheekbone down, yet her neck is partially lit. It's possible the light is in a kind of in-between location, just catching the top of Wenli's head while completely getting Wenqian's face. Either way, it's a good piece of artwork. I like the red on the jacket and the different colors throughout it. The next piece is for the story Space Can. It was created by Haley Enriquez, who was born in Los Angeles in 1996 and is of Mexican, Yaqui Native American, and Salvadoran descent. More of her art can be found at the links here on the screen. Space Can is about a space battle. It starts with action and continues with it to the end. This image fits right in with that, using a scene from the story where the main character rushes away from a fire. I think the danger of the action is shown well with the fire behind the spacesuited man and also licking at his feet. I also like the purple of the outer area, which I take to be the colder, deader parts of the image and might indicate the coldness of space or maybe encroaching death coming for the man. It's pretty good. The art for the story Shell Game was done by Newfoundlander Tracy Iyer. More of her art can be seen at these links. This piece is pretty good, with the darker and cooler blue of the man and his gun contrasting with the fiery red, orange, and yellow behind his head. I like the piece on its own, but I'm not sure where it fits into the Shell Game story. I don't recall a scene like this unless the fiery stuff is supposed to represent something about the final conflict in the story itself. It's also possible that the fire represents the danger of someone else getting in the main character's head. I'm just not sure. It's a good piece. I just don't see how exactly it relates to the story. The art for the story Canary was done by Roddy Taylor, who grew up in northwestern and southwestern areas of the US. There's more good stuff from him on his website and Instagram pages. The image captures a moment in the story where part of what's really happening is revealed to the reader. I think the image did a good job capturing the moment and seems like an almost direct translation of the scene's description. When reading the story, I always pictured the woman in the tank here to be a bit older looking, but that might become more evident if it were more of a close-up image. I like how the light in the tank captures the idea that the woman is a good person, and the purple alien-looking things are partially lit, but partially in shadow because it's unclear whether they're good or bad. So it's a pretty good piece of work. I like it. The next artwork is another piece done by Art Ikuda, and it was for the story The Triceratops Effect. Ikuda also did the art for Form 14B, which was the first story in the collection. This image for Triceratops Effect captures a quieter moment in the story where the main character is at a crater that they're digging, and Gary, the lonely Triceratops, comes out of the jungle to look over the crater's edge. The scene in the story references moonlight, so the scene actually took place at night. However, I can see why you'd want to paint a day scene for this, considering that the Triceratops has a lighter coloring that's pinkish, and I don't know how easy it would be to translate that into like a nighttime image. It's a good piece of art. Works well with the story. Established artist Cirulo Cabral did the artwork for the cover of this Writers of the Future volume, and Orson Scott Card wrote a story based on that artwork. More of Cirulo's artwork can be seen at the link here. Here we've got a pretty cool looking dragon with an almost mischievous grin on his face. A couple of warrior women are with him while a volcano erupts in the background. This image is close to something that happens in the story, and I like it. It's hard to see it here, but there's some really nice scale detail on the dragon's head and neck. And I went to the guy's website, and he does some really good dragon stuff. I like the action implied by the women's poses and weapons, though the story didn't really match that. I also don't remember a volcano erupting in the background, but I really like the detail in the volcano, the eruption, and especially in the smoke and the ash coming out of it. It's a nice piece of work. The art for A Ready-Made Bubble of Light was created by Chinese artist Haoshan Alan Zhang. You can see more of his art at these links, and it's definitely worth checking out. The scene shown here is the first quarter of the story where a team of people try to rescue the people in a car that's just about to crash. This captures the action pretty well, with the teammates on either side of the car using cutters to work on the car itself. I don't remember what the one on the top of the vehicle was doing in the story. The debris coming off the car in the lower left and the blurry sparks in the lower right kind of give a sense of motion to the image, which is nice. The light from the upper right also gives it kind of a modified reality feel, which I think fits with the scene in the story. This guy's pretty talented, and you should check out his Instagram. Some good stuff on there. The art for Thickly, the next story, is Tracy Eyer's second piece of art in the anthology. This is a good image that captures the feel of the story overall. The girl is Namza, the main character, and she's looking up like there's something better waiting in the distance, or maybe a higher elevation that she can reach. The yellow pill on her lips is the drug Thickly, and I think the flowers represent the beauty that she aspires to. I like the color choices here because I feel like they fit the mood of the story. I also think it would be interesting to see different palettes for the shirt and flowers and how that would change, the colors that were used. It's a nice piece. Anna Malone from Missouri did the art for the story Ghost Dog. Her Instagram page has more of her artwork and talent on display. This art captures the nature of Ghost Dog pretty well. The black dog with glowing eyes in the upper portion looks down on the man and the dog that it's been haunting. Its teeth are showing how scary and dangerous it really is. The terrier in the lower third looks more curious than afraid, which matches that dog's personality in the story. Even the jersey worn by the woman is just like it's described in the story. I like the choice to use glowing motes as a source of light, which gives plenty to work with to show the living creatures while also contrasting with the darkness of the ghost dog above. It's a nice piece of work. The next art is for the story Dragon Visits, and it was done by former Illustrators of the Future winner April Solomon from California. More of her work can be seen at the link here. This image is a conglomeration of the main character Martin's violin playing talent and the dragons in the story. If you follow their tails, the three dragons seem to emanate from the violin or maybe even the music itself, which matches what happens in the story kind of to a degree. Their expressions seem joyous as they fly around the boy that seems to be giving them life with his music. I wonder if the sheet music in the background is actually the music of any of the songs mentioned in the story itself. I really like this art a lot. I'm not sure why, but something about it hits me just right. The art for In Living Color, which is my favorite story in the book, is by Nathan Dywert, or maybe Dewert. He has plenty of art on various sites, as you can see here from the links. The image captures a lot about the story. The purple area with the green leaves and white blossoms looks like it represents the main character August's favorite pieces of art, one of Monet's water lilies paintings. This is doubled by the larger square near his hand at the bottom, and the smaller black photo would be one of the pictures that August can step into in the story. The upper half is dominated by a silhouetted image of the killer that August is trying to catch and one of the killer's victims. I don't remember what the bloody flower-looking bit behind the silhouettes would have been, but the long description of the image in the back of the book says that it was intended to create contrast for the silhouettes. This image captures the story pretty well, and like I said, it was one of my favorites. Good story, good art. The art for the next story, As Long As You Both Shall Live, was created by Kara Richardson, who has lived all over the US. She has something called prosopagnosia, or face blindness, which makes it hard for her to recognize people even though she may have already met them before. This led her into being an artist. You can see some of her work at this link for Instagram. I think this art does a pretty good job with the story. The two characters, Sam and Kumiko, are floating in a surreal landscape. The small rectangles along the top of the blue area and in the middle where their hands touch would clue in a viewer that this is actually a digital reality. The people above in lab coats, along with the device covering the man's eyes, kind of give a strong indication that someone is part of a scientific experiment. The bearded man's expression indicates that there seems to be some trouble, while the expressions on Sam and Kumiko's faces display some happiness. The color schemes in the two sections also give a feel for what the different realms, real life and virtual reality, hold for the characters. It's good art for the story. The final piece of art is for the story A Girl and Her Dragon, A Life in Four Parts, and it was created by Josie Moore, who grew up in Massachusetts. You can see a few pieces of her art at the sites below and a couple pieces in the masslive.com article. This piece captures a fairly early bit in the story where the main character Stephanie is only 6 years old. The blue dragon, known as Ash, has come to the zoo. Stephanie's obsession with it is shown in the blue note with white letters saying, "Ash and me, best friends forever." What's really cool about this image is the blue notes. If you look at them the right way, you'll see a blue dragon with a head to the left, a wing up top, and even a picture of Stephanie in the middle like she's riding the dragon. The crayon picture below that is described exactly like that in the story. The whole image ties together nicely with the story. It's a good piece. I like it. I think my favorite pieces of art out of all of these was probably the one for Dragon Visits. I liked it a lot. Just the way it kind of matched with the story was nice, with the dragon tails coming out of the violin and everything. I also liked Ghost Dog a lot because of the way it used the blue and the white from the motes that are in the air. I like that. And something about Bloom Decay, I think maybe the red jacket in the art for Bloom Decay really kind of hits me for some reason. Its use with that color in the background is really nice. So that's the art for all the stories in Writers of the Future Anthology Volume 42. Remember, these are just my opinions. I'm not a professional artist or any kind of art critic, so these are just thoughts and observations about what I like in the images. Since beauty is in the eye of the beholder, I hope you find the beauty in these images as you read through the anthology. Hopefully, the anthology will inspire you to write or draw and paint in the near future. If you enjoyed this review, hit the like and subscribe buttons below, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.